I've been playing with and collecting handhelds ever since I was a kid, and I'd like to think I've seen most of them. But one Nintendo handheld has slipped through my nets, and it wasn't until a few weeks ago until I first found out about it. And it's called the Nintendo Micro Versus System, and it's unlike any handheld I've ever seen. I thought it would be pretty interesting to show you around it, give you some more information, and have a look at one of Nintendo's weirdest and most secret handhelds. These don't come cheap either, as they're becoming more and more collectible by the day. So today's sponsor, known as Buyee, has helped make this video a reality. Buyee is a Japanese marketplace that allows us Westerners to purchase goods from Japan using a middleman. Buyee gives you access to Japan's Yahoo auctions, eBay, Rakuten, and much more, letting you get rare Japanese goods delivered straight to your door. For example, perhaps you like to collect Japanese Pokemon cards, collect rare Nintendo handhelds like the Micro Versus System, or even Japanese video games. Buyee lets you do that via an easy to use website that lets you shop without restrictions and super high shipping costs. So how does this work? Basically, Buyee buys the products on your behalf from Yahoo, eBay, or whatever site you are using. Then they ship it to Buyee's warehouse in Japan, where it's then packaged up securely and shipped to you in no time at all overseas. If this sounds something that interests you and you fancy giving something a go, Buyee has given Retro Dodo viewers $20 off their first order using the link in the description box below. Now, the Nintendo Micro Versus System. What is it exactly? So this handheld was actually released in 1984 and had many different games available to choose from, but the handheld itself could only play one single game, so you had to pick wisely. If you wanted new games, you would have to buy a whole new console, much like the classic Game & Watch, which this took a lot of inspiration from. What makes these handhelds so great, even if you can call it a handheld, is basically that they're targeted at gamers that want to play with their friends. And Nintendo tackled that issue by connecting two circular controllers that are tucked away in the back. This then allows the players to control two different characters in-game. The way Nintendo designed this was definitely unique for its time, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Nintendo DS took inspiration from the Micro Versus System and the old Donkey Kong Game & Watch that came out at a similar time, due to its little clamshell design here. Whoop-dee whoop-dee whoop-dee. And the more you look at the controllers, the more you realize how innovative Nintendo were back in the day. These circular controllers not only fit perfectly inside of the handheld, they also have cables inside that can be pulled out in order to have a more comfortable gaming experience. All you have to do is simply use the winding mechanism at the back to compact the cable, which then allows you to store your controllers in a more portable form factor. This is the first time I've ever seen Nintendo do anything like this in a video games console, and it's one of the many things about this handheld that just blow my mind. It's a true piece of art if you really think about it. And now if you move on to the front, you'll find a large 4-inch rectangular display that shows Donkey Kong 3 and the level that you are playing in. Like any old school handheld, it uses a segmented LCD display with an overlay print on top. On the right, you have Game A, which is a single player game, and then Game B, which is for 2 players, and Time, which allows you to set the time, which again makes it feel like this is a part of the Game & Watch family. Once you press a button, the game begins, and if you select single player, you control Stanley. If you select 2 players, the other controller basically has control of Donkey Kong. And from what I gather, the game is quite simple, but hard to actually win. It's your goal to spray the bees away from your garden and into the opponents. You do this by collecting ammunition that falls on the edges of the screen, you reload your water gun, and then you start shooting the bees, which then push them to the other side of the screen, which then takes points and damages the opponent. For me, it's actually quite tricky as the AI is very fast and very accurate, which constantly puts me in a high stress situation to a point where I keep losing points and then hitting 0, which means game over. Here, take a little look at some gameplay. I can imagine over time you'd find the pattern, but as of now, being a first-time micro versus system gamer, it's quite tricky. This is just one of many microsystems too, and basically you can choose from a lot of them, each having a different game and feature many different popular Nintendo characters. What amazes me about this is that Nintendo were testing the clamshell design all the way back in the early 80s and even started messing around with new ways to make gaming portable. For example, this is one of the first handheld consoles to feature a D-pad. It's that old. I think the first one was in fact the Donkey Kong Game & Watch, but this must be like second or third. This console is a lovely piece by Nintendo and one that we've only just discovered. The wind-up controllers, clamshell design, and long rectangular screen makes this console incredibly unique, and I just had to share with you. If you enjoyed this and want to see more weird and wonderful consoles, then please do hit subscribe, and as per usual, thank you for your continued support. Catch you in the next one.